What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com, and today I'm back with my bets for the weekend in the world of mixed martial arts. We have a big UFC event this weekend. PFL Europe is starting as well. I'll have a full preview out for that. Maybe it'll be already out. I think it will actually be already out by the time you are watching this video, so go and check that out. I have a couple of bets from that, and I have bets from the UFC as well, so stay tuned for all of that. First, a quick recap of last week. I feel like the pay-per-views have been going very badly for me recently, and this was another one which didn't go great. Gunnar Nelson by decision. Yeah, I just not explaining that one. And I said last week, look, if you're betting, the submission is probably the one to go for, but I like the price. I thought Brian Barber might be able to draw it out a little bit. He wasn't. That didn't win. Jack Short, TKO, KO. You could see, I suppose, at the start of the second round where I was kind of going with that, a guy who's very good at submissions against another guy who's very good at submissions. The one thing maybe I forgot or analyzed was Amirkhani getting tired all the time, which I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should have remembered that one, yeah. And he gave up the submission in the end. The Christian Leroy Duncan one was right, not a great price, but the one we got right. Also an injury, so I got a little bit lucky with that one, but he was on his way to winning that anyway. Usman obviously lost as well. And in Makayev, the TKO KO, he almost had it a couple of times for the FLIER, but no, he ended up submitting him in the end after almost getting, well, he didn't almost get submitted himself, but he almost got stopped by Herb Dean himself, and I wouldn't have been given out to Herb for that one either, because it was pretty tough with that submission. But yeah, 1 out of 4 last week, and the FLIER didn't hit, so not great. Overall, 16 of 34, not bad, and 4 of 10 overall on the FLIER, so I'll definitely take the FLIER bet there. You know, we're still close enough to the 50% on the other bets, so time to recapture that this weekend. Let's see if we can do it. Right, the first one I'm giving you is from the PFL Europe card. I'm giving you a double, and now this isn't a massive price or anything like that. I was just looking at here. It's around the minus 350 mark, but I think it's a good bet to kind of get you into the PFL Europe if you're going to watch it maybe for the first time. Obviously, everyone is watching it for the first time because this is the first time it was ever on. But I'm going for a double of Simone Powell and Dakota Ditcheva, and it's around the plus 350 mark. Sorry, around the minus 350 mark for the double of them. They're both massive favourites over their two opponents. Simone Powell is fighting Mohamed Amine, and Dakota Ditcheva is fighting Malin Hermansson. Both are 7-0. Both are top prospects and really, really, really good. Powell is like this really, really good striker with pressure, who is tall and big and athletic and great footwork and intelligent and good takedown defense. He really has it all. You know, he really, really does. He's fighting Mohamed Amine, who is a kickboxer. Fought a lot of his fights, the ones I was able to see anyway. Now, PFL Europe is kind of the European series to get him to the bigger series, you know, to get him. So it's a lot of people kind of on their way up. Some people with only like 5-6 fights, and it's great to watch. You know, it's like watching, you know, maybe a Cage Warriors or you know, an LFA in America or something like that. These are a lot of up and comers with some fighters also that are, we'll see France Malin in a couple of weeks, by no means an up and comer, a guy at the very top of his game, and I think Powell and Ditcheva kind of are getting there as well. But I would say Enemy is that he's kind of a pocket counter fighter, lots of hooks and counters in combos, but gets hit very hard when he's in the pocket, and I think that will be his big issue here against Simone Powell. Another thing Powell has is that even if you do crack him or push him against the cage, take him down, which I don't think Mohamed will do because he's more of a kickboxer from what I've seen of him anyway, he's very good at bouncing back. You know, he's taken down, he'll bounce back. Very good cardio, and his best trait, something I say, you know, you watch any young fighter. I saw someone actually saying about Usman there recently, the people that are on winning streaks all the time, it's their belief, and his utter belief in himself is magnificent, and I think that's what makes him a great fighter. I think he'll win this fight. The other fight then, as I mentioned, is in this double, is Dakota Ditcheva against Malin Hermansson. And if you haven't seen Dakota Ditcheva, What have you been doing? Really, she is really, really, really good fighting out of England at the moment. Actually, she was out of England, and I think she went over to America. I think she's training at AT&T now, but she's very tall, very rangy, switch stance fighter. All long kicks, accurate strikes. Like, she's good wrestling. I think her brother's like a kickboxer, and she is very good kickboxing as well. And she just seems to be getting better and better and better all the time. I actually watched a very interesting amateur fight between herself and Shauna Bannon, who's currently 5-0 in Invicta. Now, Shauna went down a weight after, obviously, Ditcheva ended up winning that fight. But I watched it back and, like, I'm not sure who won it, to be honest. It was one of them, but that's a high level fight considering where the two of them have gotten to now. So she not only is very good, she also has a couple of tough matchups against a couple of very, very good fighters herself in the amateurs and on the way up. Now, Malin Hermansson is an interesting fighter. I watched one of her early fights and I was like, oh, this is going to be destruction altogether. And look, Ditcheva is definitely a massive favourite here, but Hermansson has improved an awful lot. She's like a Diaz brother. She's a real awkward mover, nice enough jab and good combos. Doesn't have the biggest power in the world, I wouldn't say. And against Ditcheva, she's going to need to make her pay for any mistakes she makes, which are few and far between. If you've watched any of Dakota Ditcheva over the last while, she tends to kind of dip her head into strikes to Hermansson and kind of get caught, but she does counter well, and she has definitely improved in her last few fights and become a lot more confident, and she's going to need it against Ditcheva, who can do it all. She's, good takedown defense, but also good takedowns herself, great cardio, power. I've written down here in my notes, I think I said in the previous show as well, no known weaknesses. I haven't seen any weakness from her, and I think with this double, so Ditcheva and Powell, I think they're both going to be able to kickbox their way to wins here. I think both of their opponents, Amine and Hermansson, are both going to try to kickbox them. Now, maybe that'll change, very, very quickly when they get in there, but I think there should be probably two relatively straightforward wins for both of them, and a good way to kick off, I suppose, the season with a bet as well. Not the biggest price in the world, but that's my first bet of the week anyway. The double of Ditcheva and Powell. Second bet of the week, then I'm going for Holly Holm, straight up against Yana Santos, who used to be obviously Yana Kunitskaya. If you don't know about the she's married to Thiago Santos, isn't she? Yeah, I think she is. Yeah, so. An interesting fight against they're both 14-6. So I've just noticed here on Sherdog, which would think they've been around for a similar amount of time and a similar levels, but not really. Holly Holm has reached kind of, I think, a much higher level in her career, and the price on that, let me just have a quick look again, -225. There was a couple of places that were around -200 as well, so it'd be interesting to see how that price actually moves the later we get. Obviously, I'm recording a little bit earlier than you'll probably be betting on it, so keep an eye on that price the longer the week goes. But for Holly, it's been an interesting time. She's only fought once in the last 3 years now. This says she fought Vera around 10 months ago, and she ended up losing that fight by a split decision. Did Holly Holm not look like Holly Holm in that fight? Probably not. I think she looked really normal in that fight. Her two wins before that against Serena Aldana, who's fighting for the title next, more than likely, and Raquel Pennington, who is always there or thereabouts as well. But the one thing is with Holly Holm, she's 41 years of age now, 42 this year, been around for a very, very, very long time. But you put her in against someone like, Yana Santos, who I just don't think has the same skill set as Holly Holm in terms of her ability. You look at her as well, like, she hasn't fought that much either. Her last fight was in 2021. She lost to Irene Aldana, and now she beat Vera. So, how can we do the MMA math in that? They both, one lost to one was beaten by one, and the other way around. So there isn't really much to take by that, I don't think. She was finished by Irene Aldana in that fight in July 2021. So it's been a while since both of them have fought. And if you look at Yana Santos's record, and you look at her losses, 3 by KO, 1 by decision, 2 by submission, and you look at kind of when that happened. The KO was the last time out. Her last loss before that was by KO as well. then with Cyborg, okay, we can forget about that. A lot of her decision losses were her one decision loss was a long time ago in her career, which kind of goes against my own bet here, because I do think Holm by decision might be a good bet here. I was looking at it as well and thinking about it, but there isn't much of a difference between them. And the fact she's only lost one decision is probably, probably indicative of her career. It's 7 times to a decision, only lost once. But having said that, like I think I remember distinctly watching the Kunitskaya and Vera fight, because that was a big judging fight, and I actually did. The book is actually up there in front of me. I don't want to be pulling the ring up, but Chris Rennie's book talking about it. And I wrote a little bit of an article for it, and it was in that, and it was great. If you haven't seen Chris Rennie's book, please buy it and get it. I'm in it as well, so it's great. But it was a fight that you just think, like a lot of people thought Vieira won it, a lot of people thought Santos won it. But it was a fight where she landed some shots, Vieira landed some shots, and there was a lot of kind of clinching and long moments of nothing happening, right? Long moments of nothing happening. And it feels like Santos is one of these fighters that tries to make things happen at small intervals, right? And Holly Holm is a fighter who tries to make things happen all the time, but and not big things. So, okay, Santos tries to make big things happen in small intervals. Holly Holm tries to make small things happen all the time. And if you think this fight goes to a decision, who's going to win that? You would say with the new judging criteria, okay, maybe Santos. But if Santos can't cause those big moments happen over 3 rounds, if she can't do it 2, 3, 4 times in the 3 rounds, can she win the fight? If she can't, she can't. If she can't do that, she can't win the fight. And I kind of think that's how it'll go. I just feel like Holm is just going to pick her off and pick her off and pick her off and pick her off and end up winning the decision. That's how I see it going as well. Holm has always been good in the clinch. Look what she did to Ronda Rousey. She's always been good wrestling, even though she started off as a kickboxer and all of that. That's where I think she'll be able to stop anything Santos can do there. I think she's too elusive on the feet. She'll never lose that ability. And I just think she'll kind of point her way to a win. And that's basically it. And that's why I'm going for Holly Holm here at -225. I just feel like it's going to be easy for her. And now maybe she's over the hill and maybe she's not as good as she once was, but it's hard for me to not call that one, to be honest. Right, next one I'm going for here. It's an interesting one, and I always pick, so I'm going for Andrea over Maycee Barber, and she is +231. And it was the price more than anything else. I just love this price. I think it's a great price. Andrea Lee for a while was on the cusp of doing something very good, right? So she beat, not very good, and she beat Shevchenko and Calvillo. And after that Calvillo fight, where she, it was the corner stoppage after was it the second round, wasn't it? I remember kind of thinking, right, I've always liked Andrea Lee as a fighter. I think she's a very good fighter, and now she's kind of after proving it. And then she went out against Viviane Araujo again around 10 months ago, so she's been out of the cage for a bit. But I thought in that fight she kind of got out athleted, if you want to put it that way. Like, Araujo hasn't had the greatest run since. She's lost both her fights to Grasso and Ribas. Now, nothing wrong with losing to either of them, but you get what I mean. Like, so what I'm saying here is I'm finding it actually hard to call where Andrea Lee is, not only in her career but in the division. But for Maycee Barber, do you know what? I'm a little bit on the same boat here, because look, she lost to Roxanne Modafferi amazingly, and lost to Grasso as well, and she's come back with 3 decision wins in a row against Brandon Maverick, Montana De La Rosa, and Jessica Ai. Look, all of which are good, solid fighters, but no blowaways, and she didn't blow any of them away either in any of those fights. And I feel like the way Maverick will win this is the way Araujo wins it. Not Maverick, Barber, Maycee, is to kind of out athlete or push her against the cage, try to get the fight to the ground. She's a couple of submission wins, maybe try to get the submission. But Andrea Lee, I feel like, and the reason I'm kind of going for her is this. I don't think Barber is as good an athlete as Araujo, as maybe mad as that sounds to some people. And I think if she can kind of stop that clinch, stop her taking her down, that Andrea Lee's boxing, when she can just box, is actually very good. And maybe some people are thinking, what are you talking about, Sean? You're picking Andrea Lee to outbox or outstrike Maycee Barber. Yeah, I think I am, yeah. And not necessarily even though that she will outbox her or outstrike her. I just think that price of plus 231 for her to outbox her and outstrike her is really good. Because I have a feeling it will turn into a kickboxing match for 15 minutes. I just have a feeling that's the fight we're going to get. And I actually really like Andrea Lee in most of those fights against most of those people. We saw, I just told you the names there she's beaten in fights she wasn't expecting to win. No, wasn't expected to win even. And she still went down and she did it. And like, I haven't forgotten that. I haven't also forgotten the times it went badly, but you get what I mean. I think she has shown that she can beat someone with the skill level of Maycee Barber. I think she and over and above that. I think she has. And to give me plus 231 for her to do it again, I'll take that. I'm going to take that all day. So that's the third bet. Andrea Lee plus 231, just to win straight up money line bet. Right, the next bet I'm over here is the main event, and I was torn here. I'm really torn. So I've gone for Cory Sandhagen. He's minus 157 as we speak right now. That could change. Honestly, it could change a lot. I really do think this one is going to maybe flip and flop throughout the week as it goes. I'm going for Sandhagen for one simple reason, really. And I think he's, like Holm, I think he's going to be a little bit too elusive. I think, and now I've talked to my colleague Graham over in the Severe Met podcast many times about this, and the two of us have constantly picked against Cheeto Vera and have constantly been wrong, and here I am doing it again. So like, then if he wins this, I promise the next time I won't pick against him. But I just feel like Vera is fighting in a very specific way recently that has been very, very good. And everyone knows I love the criteria as well. It's been very effective in terms of the criteria, very effective. But it's only effective because he's been able to pull it off. And now what I mean by that is he's been kind of waiting, landing the big hurtful shot and winning rounds, and then doing the same the next round, the same. And that's great. That's great. If you can do that, that's a very efficient and intelligent way to win a round of mixed martial arts. But if you're up against Cory Sandhagen and he is kind of running around, picking you off, touching you, landing, and when you land, he's landing as big as you land at times, or has already landed, and you're kind of chasing it back, that makes it a lot harder. Your defensive work and your toughness and all is great against a guy who can't hurt you nearly as hard as you can hurt him. But for Cory Sandhagen, is that the case? Like, Cory hits hard. He's big knees. He's big shots. So I feel like this is one of those fights where neither man is going to get out unscathed. Like, all I said there would preclude Cheeto from winning rounds, right? But he's going to win rounds, I think, in this. And all I said there will probably persuade you, or persuade the argument, let's say, that Sandhagen is going to win the rounds because he's going to kind of play with him on the outside, try to stay elusive while landing shots, and his opponent maybe is going to start having to rush shots and stuff to try to land them, and it's actually that's going to play into his game, and he's going to win this round and this round, this round. In my opinion, he's going to win more rounds doing that than Cheeto will fight in his fight. But I think Cheeto will win rounds fighting his fight as well. That's why I've been so torn on it. And this is the sort of fight we could all come out of and say, if it was, pride rules or one championship rules, or if the fight was scored as a whole or all of this, it'd be scored. I feel like this is one of these fights, unless it's a finish, right? If it goes to a decision, because that's just the way Cheeto fights. It just is the way Cheeto fights. Like, imagine he's 4.5 minutes down in the round and he lands one big shot. Like, who do you give that round to? We have that argument there, right? And okay, we can maybe tell you who afterwards, but one person might agree and one person might disagree, and then we have what we always have, So that's the sort of fight I'm expecting here. And I just think, if you look, and we look quickly here at who Cheeto has fought, I suppose in his most recent fights. Dominic Cruz, who he finished in the 4 round of that, and I think we can all agree Dominic isn't maybe what Dominic was. Same with Frankie Edgar, but he beat Rob Font and beat Davy Grant, who are two very, very, very good fighters. Now, it's weird that I put Rob Font and Davy Grant above Dominic Cruz and Frankie Edgar, but I assume a lot of hardcores listen to this and will understand what I'm talking about there. And he won a decision against both of them as well and finished both Edgar and Cruz, so it goes along with the type of fight I'm talking about here as well. He has never faced someone and beaten someone recently, apart from, okay, look, the Sean O'Malley fight, but we know what happened there, like Cory Sandhagen. It's just he hasn't faced that level. And look, if it was prime Dominic Cruz, absolutely. If it was prime Frankie Edgar, absolutely. But we all know it wasn't, right? Now, Dominic Cruz is a great test to get to that level, I think, and to fight someone at that level these days. But he hasn't done it yet, and it's very hard to say that style that we saw against Rob Font, especially. Now, the Cruz fight a little bit differently. I think he did up it a little bit, but I think that was down to him fighting Cruz, and you had to kind of do it. And look, I think he'll have to kind of do it here as well, but I think it's going to be a lot harder to actually do. And until he shows that, I think the pick is against him, and that's the main reason I picked against him. If he had shown that in another, like, let's say he'd fought Yan and he did it against Yan, absolutely I'd be picking him here to win, no problem. 100%. If he does this here against Sandhagen and he was going in to fight Yan, I would probably pick him to win that fight. So it's one where I'm picking it based on what we've already seen, and that's all I can do, I suppose. And I'm going for Sandhagen. But as you can hear probably by the tone of my voice, it's not at all with great expectation. Right. The last bet I'm going for is, and this is a flyer, but it's a flyer that could be a mad flyer, or it's a flyer that could be a very, 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 very good flyer, because it's Manel Kape to win by TKO KO in round 1 at plus 550. Now, if anyone knows Manel Kape, you know what to expect from him, and what to expect from him is to know nothing of what to expect from him, because he could turn up and he could be an absolute killer, or he could turn up and he could be looking injured and he could miss weight and this and that and the other. That's the type of fighter Manel Kape is. That's just, you never know what's going to turn up with Manel Kape, but when he's at it, boy, he is at it. Alex Perez, he's only lost once by knockout, right? He's only lost once ever by knockout, and that was to Joseph Benavidez, a very good fighter. 5 or 6 years ago at this stage, he was submitted in his last 2 fights, okay, but he's fighting Figueiredo and Pantoja. Those 2 fights, one was in 2020, one was in 2022. I'm absolutely not taking anything away from him. He's a good fighter, a guy who's won 17 of his 24 fights by either submission or decision, only knocked out people in 5% of his 5 of his fights out of 24. 5 out of 31 in total. Not the greatest knockout record, if we're being honest. When you look at Kape on the other side of it, then out of his 11 fights, he's won. Out of his 18 wins, he's won 11 by knockout, and he's had 24 altogether. So look, most of his wins by knockout, are almost half his fights winning by knockout as well. And that's just the stats to throw at you. 2 of his last 3 fights, he's won by first round knockout. So I'm giving you plus 550 for him to win by first round knockout again. Okay. Now, he didn't have lots of first round knockouts before that for a while. He had a couple in Risen back in 2017. He knocked out Ian McCall and another chap there as well, and had a few earlier in his career. So yeah, he does have 6, 7, 8 first round knockouts. He's a good few of them. Now. Our first round finishes anyway. And if he is on it, and he's been on it for his last 3 fights, to be fair, beat Adi Osborne, Zalas, Zamagulov, and David Dvorak. Someone's going to Brendan Schaub me now over my terrible pronunciation there. I'm saying Wales or something. Zalgas Zamagulov. I think is that right? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Bohachinia will have my video up here. But I just think Manel Kape, and I'm probably saying Kape wrong as well, but I'm going to continue to say Kape. Anyway, I just feel like, right, he's at the precipice of something big right now, and he'll either be the type of guy, and we've seen this with many fighters out through the years, who is currently ranked number 9, sorry, who will either win this fight against a guy in rank number 6, maybe go into the top 5, right? Maybe fight for the title with possibly one more win and go do all of that, or else he'll be like, right, this is my big opportunity, I have it, I'm going to take it, and he'll end up losing. He'll end up missing weight, or he'll end up not showing up, or something will happen. Kape is one of those guys. Now, 3 wins in a row, has that changed? Maybe, right? Maybe. So I'm kind of half talking him out here of betting on my bet, but I'm betting on my bet because he is brilliant. I'm betting on my bet because he has the talent to beat Alex Perez. He really has the talent to beat Alex Perez. He has the talent to knock him out. He has the talent to knock anyone in that division out, right? And give me plus 550 to do it in the first round after 2 of his last 3 have been done in the first round. Now, they have been late in the first round, absolutely, but I like that bet. I really, really like it, and that's one of my bets for the week. Right, those are my 5 bets. Let's look at some of the other bets from this weekend. As luck would have it, the Cage Warriors bets just came up here, so this is great. I was going to pick a Cage Warriors bet. They weren't in, so they're just up here. The main event, Mick Stanton and Will Cory. Will Cory is a massive favourite there, minus 450. Definitely going for him. I'll just give him my picks here. Albert Diaz, Steve Amiable. That's a big price on Albert Diaz, plus 275. Against Steve Amiable, minus 350. If I'm betting on that, I'm definitely betting Diaz. I think Amiable will win, but I think that's going to be a close fight, and I would 100%, if I'm betting on that, I'm betting Diaz. Aggie Sardari is a big favourite over Samuel Blasco. I think that's right, minus 450. And the other bet out there, all the prices aren't out yet, but Matthew Byfield, minus 550 over Prince McLean. Prince has been away. I was talking to Brad. Preview for that will be out as well, obviously. Plus 400, has been out for a good while. I think, Matty Byfield is probably the one to go for in that one as well. So, that came out literally just as we're recording here. Before we get to the UFC, let's look at the other bets from the PFL, and you'll be able to hear my preview, obviously, of this as well. The 2 fights I already spoke about. Simone Powell is minus 500. Ditcheva is minus 1600. Add them both together around minus 350. So I think that's a good double for both of them. One of the fights on the night for me, and this, I was actually looking at the price in this earlier, and they were even, and this actually changed since. Valentina Scatizzi, who's the brother of Daniele Scatizzi, who fights in Bellator, she trains at SPGI, and she actually got into a favour now at minus 130. They were even, as I said a couple of hours ago, plus 100 for Jeevers. I like Scatizzi in that fight, although they're both good fighters. As I said, I leave this to the preview. You can listen to my whole breakdowns there. I'm one person I am not surprised is a big favourite as well is Anthony Salamone. He fought Will Fleury a while back. He's a good fighter, but his opponent, Daniel Ladero, I said on the preview, I'll wait till I see the betting odds before I give my pick. Now, maybe the pick is Ladero because of the price. I've thought more about it. Salamone might be just a little bit more, experienced, and he might win that. But it's an interesting one. Cornelia Holm and Marta Valeshek. Holm plus 205, minus 265 again. I think that's a relatively even fight there, if we're being honest. Holm is southpaw who's very good in the clinch, very good at knees and stuff. Not the best striker in the world, just wants to get inside and get on the ground. Valashek wants it on the floor as well. She throws some high kicks, good knees in the clinch, aggressive. I think whoever's better on the ground is going to win that one if it does hit the ground. So, an interesting fight. I think that might be a little bit too much of a price. I'd probably go for Holm at that price, but an interesting price there. There's a few other fights as well. Mafanda Carmona and Gerrit Eckhout is a fight that they're both minus 115 in that. Great, she doesn't fight much, to be honest. She's a bit undersized for the division as well, and I think that'll maybe catch up with her, but she's a good jab and 1-2. Not the greatest takedown defense in the world, unless she's in top and where she's good ground and pound. Carmona's only been fighting since 2021. She's strong, good striker, good footwork. I'd probably go for Carmona in that one. So those are my picks and my bets for PFL. Obviously, We just have the straight up prices out here. So far, we don't have any of the props or anything for that. So the UFC, I've already gone for Sandhagen. I've already gone for Holm. I've already gone for Andrea Lee, and I really like all of those prices there. And I've already obviously gone for Manel Kape as well. So I've hit the top 4 fights here. Lingo and Landwehr then. You know, Lingo plus 190. Like, I haven't been that impressed. I was impressed with Landwehr at the start, and I'm kind of slowed him a little bit. Is this a move back in quality? Possibly here, but I'd probably avoid that one. I love the fight between Albert Jurev and Chidi Njokuani. Chidi is the favourite there. Let's see the price for Chidi to win by knockout, plus 130. Jurev, Jurev by name, durable by nature, I think is kind of what he is at times, anyway. And let's see on that one. I think I'd just go for Chidi straight up. There isn't that much of a difference there, so I think that's what I'd be going for there. Vergara and Silva Vergara is the big favourite there, minus 240. Pineda and Tucker Lutz, minus 285 for Lutz, who is not a bad fighter at all. Trevin Giles and Preston Parsons are about even. Giles, maybe the experience might do it for him there. Stephen Peterson had a good outing last time. He's a favourite now this time against Lucas Alexander, minus 160. Trey Ogden, who he fought Paddy Pimblett, didn't he? Or he fought the lad who fought Paddy Pimblett. He is the underdog here against Manel Torres, and there are probably some other fights as well. Who cares? Right, I will leave it there. Thank you to everybody for watching and listening. If you are watching, give the thumbs up on YouTube. Please subscribe. There's loads of other great stuff here, and let me know your bet for the week down below. If you're listening, please subscribe as well on Spotify or SoundCloud or wherever you're listening to it, and head on over to YouTube and see my ugly mug as well. Give it a thumbs up there, give it a like, spread it out as well, tell a friend, tag me on Twitter at SeanChiNBA, tag at Sherdog.com as well on Twitter, and we will retweet it and get it out there as well. So yeah, fun weekend of fights coming up, and that's all I have for you today. Thanks to everybody for listening. My name is Sean Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.